So today we're going to be launching that virtual VM-Series Palo Alto firewall. And up until this point, we really just have our basic VPC elements configured. Just the VPC, the default security groups, the route tables, no specific entries, etc. But now that we're actually going to have a true instance with data that can actually come into our environment, we're going to actually need to get things up to par. So in today's video, along with launching the firewall, there's some other things that we need to basically make that happen. Starting with, first we need to create those specific security groups and tie them to the interfaces that are on this firewall. So that's going to be the very first thing that we do before, of course, creating those network interfaces. By default, there is one interface, the primary NIC, that's attached to any virtual EC2 instance that you create. You can, during the launch, attach a second one, but because we need a third, we're just going to go through the steps required to create the inside and outside interface separately. We're going to need an internet gateway ultimately when we start performing that, which won't be in today's video, to get data flowing in and out of our traffic. But we might as well go ahead and deploy it now. And there's ways around getting into our firewall with like VPC endpoints and things like that. But we're going to stick with an elastic IP. We're going to bound that to the outside interface or the management interface for today's video. And we need that internet gateway to be able to come across the public internet and to be able to basically control our firewall. Because of that, we're going to need to, as we said earlier, modify the route tables to get traffic in and out and point it towards that internet gateway for all unknown destinations, which at the time of this video will be my public IP address. But if you're following along at home, you'll see there's a step where it will basically load your public IP address there. Then we're going to launch the firewall. If you've not done that before, this should be probably the exciting part. Everything before that might be a little bit boring, but necessary to get to the state that we're at. And if you have done it before, you know, this is where we're going to have to wait 5 to 7 minutes to probably gain access, both SSH and HTTPS, to our console. While that's happening, though, we're going to go ahead and attach those two inside and outside interfaces while the VM-Series is launching. That way, when we go into the console, we'll see the second and third interfaces will be recognized and active there. And of course, we will finally just need to validate, first we'll need to get into the SSH, which will validate that everything's working as intended, security groups, route tables, and of course the instance is ready to accept connections. But we need to set that admin password so that once we load the console, of course, we can log into the GUI. And so that'll be the crux of today's video. It will take a bit. So basically buckle up, and we're going to just any obstacles we face, we won't edit that out. We'll just push forward with that. So thank you all, and let's go ahead and hop into the console. So again, recall that we're working out of the US East 2 region, Ohio, for this. And personally, preference, I like to keep an EC2 and a VPC tab open because there's different services within these services that we need to do. And first up on our sheet is going to be the security groups, which actually, this is unique. It's actually on either tab. You see in EC2, it's right there. And if you go to VPC, it's right here. So it is one of those items that you could do from either, but I like to do it ideally from the EC2 tab. So we'll keep or launch this in a new tab. And for this, again, if we go to our, so that I can explain it, we've pre-gamed it. But if we go to subnets, ideally you would like to, in a planning and you had a drawing, if you had an Excel spreadsheet, you kind of want to pick your, deterministically pick your IP addresses. So that's what we've done today. So if we see these in the middle, these four availability zone 1 subnets for our firewall, if we scroll all the way to the right, these are the CIDRs for each. And so I'll scroll back to the left and we see that the management one, if I deselect each of these, that the management is first in the order. So if we bring this notepad over, we can see that we're trying to keep the last octet like ending in a 0 for ease of memory. And when we get further into launching apps and things like this, it's easier to remember. If we named it like 10 and then this 23, this 47, something like that, or 45, it'd be tough. So really that's all this is we're going to use .10 for management. And then we see here for inside, which starts at .16. Those first 4 are reserved. So 16, 17, 18, and 19 are not able to be used. So .20 comes in handy. And then on the outside right here, we see that that starts at 32. So the .30, if you ask why aren't we using it, it's because that IP address is still contained up here in the inside subnet. So these will be the IP addresses that we're going to use when we get to this step here of creating the network interfaces. So just wanted to touch up on that before we get started. But let's go ahead and create our security groups. And again, you can see we just have the default security groups there. And so we'll name this PAFW management EZ1-SG for security group. And this will be permit traffic into management interface PAF firewall and EZ1. Copy this. We use our notepad for a scratch board to make it easier. This is the security VPC. Now on the inbound rule for management, we can go ahead and create that now. We just want to permit from the jump. We'll say all traffic, which isn't good, but we'll trust our public IP. This is my current home IP address. We'll put a note here, permit all traffic from Andre. I don't think you can use, actually, I think, we'll see. I don't know if you can use that, but we'll see. Outbound by default, everything is allowed out. So we'll keep it there. Special characters is what I don't recall. I know, actually I do recall using hyphens. All right, so there's an error. Yeah, string. You can use slashes though. That's what it was. We'll just say from Andre IP. All right. So we'll create that. So that's one security group down. We'll click back on security group. It will be there. We'll create our next one. The next one will be inside. And this again is basically private IP, east-west, things like that. So this will be, we need this export. So here we're just going to permit like thinking that we have 3 VPCs. We'll do a /22 permit traffic, permit internal traffic to inside interface. This will be security. We'll add a rule. For now, we'll do all, and what this will do too. I'm not saying that we're sniffing, but even if which the inside interface isn't open to the internet unless you put a elastic IP and the routes can point to a NAT gateway or an internet gateway. It's not going to be publicly accessible. Oh, sorry. But what this will do is kind of allow you to sniff and see what kind of traffic, which will mostly be probably NTP and DNS that's traversing the network. And like we said, this will give us the other 2 VPCs and then probably a spare. We'll prevent all traffic east-west. Be our note there. Same. We'll permit all for outbound. And then for this next one, we'll show you something that's kind of handy. And I'll say kind of. But from security groups, if you have one that you just wanted to, let's say, clone. Let's say we like we didn't put SG. Oh, good. let's say the management one. Eventually we'll need the outside interface, the NAT. We don't really need our public IP. We're not doing, if we're doing global protect, but let's just go ahead and open that up now. You can actually copy to a new security group, and you see how it already has the inbound rule there, at least. So for now, we'll just do that, and we'll copy, well, we'll type this. This isn't too long. This will be our last security group, PFW outside AZ1-SG. And I don't remember if we, all right, I was gonna say if we have the long thing there. All right, but hopefully everybody's doing all right. Like I said, these are permit trafficking. To many, this is the boring part, this prep work. But it's like we said, it's necessary to think this out and to kind of get to where you don't need to Google things, those reps in, to where it becomes kind of second nature. Again, we don't go around just deploying Palo Altos every day just cause. But there we go. We're all set. Security groups. Nothing wrong with that if that's your thing. But we've got our security groups built, so we're done with step one. Next up, we're still in EC2, so we'll go back here. We could have stayed there. We'll click new tab, and let's go ahead and work on our interfaces. For here, again, we're not going to create that management, though I think you can create all three and select an existing interface when you launch a firewall. But again, because we're catering to all audiences, we'll just keep it simple here. You're wondering what these are. These, I think, are, yeah, the TGW attachment. So we'll probably come back and give these a description to make it easier. But for now, let's click on create, and we'll give this a description. We'll call this one PAFW inside AZ1. I don't think we need a dash nick or anything like that. We'll type inside to basically filter it down. We'll select the AZ1. Interface type, nothing to change there. We'll click on custom. And again, this is 10.00.20. Advanced settings, nothing that we need to change there as well. And for our security group, we'll pick the inside there. So the only reason we did the security group first is so we didn't have to come back and once the interface was launched to basically change that out. But I will show you how to do that here in a second, if by chance you needed to do that in the future. We'll click create, PFW-outside-AZ1 subnet. We'll type outside to filter, AZ1 custom 10.00.40. Select outside security group. Copy this name tag. Name, just key value pairs, so that when we hit create, you can see here that the name we filter, we can see R2 there. But if we needed to in the future, it's kind of like a tip, change it. We would just click here underneath actions. We would select change security groups. And like if we wanted to remove it, we would hit remove. But if we wanted to add one, like say we wanted to add the inside, we would just click there and hit save, and both of those would be attached. So we'll remove that one or just hit cancel, and we're all good with step number 2. Next up, create the internet gateway. We'll go to VPC. Here on the left hand side, we'll scroll down a wee bit. You can tell it's one of the things. Oh, it's right there. Don't deploy the internet gateway a lot. One of those, definitely set it and forget it, but super easy. We'll call this security internet gateway because that's the VPC it's attached to. You hit create internet gateway, you attach it to a VPC, you pick your VPC, these firewall will reside there, and you attach it, and it's a wrap. So one of the quickest things to do there. And so now in our route table entries, it can be selected as a target. And so now we'll come to our route table, and really for today's purpose, we We really only need to modify the management, and we probably will stick to that. We can target the outside at a later time. But to get into our device, we need to make sure that the management interface can. So we'll select route, we'll hit edit routes, add for all unknown traffic. We will target the internet gateway. We will select the internet gateway that we just configured, and we'll hit save changes. So we're all good there with step number 4. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and launch our instance. So if we click here, and we'll be launching this, of course, from the AWS Marketplace. Let's go ahead and clean up. We don't need that open. Keep network interfaces open. And let's see. So we'll give this a name, PAFW. Palo Alto Firewall EZ1. I guess that's simple. Simple enough. Whatever your naming convention is, it doesn't need to be the most verbose. But let's go ahead and search for Palo Alto and click enter. We see that there are none here. These numbers will hopefully go up. We click on the AWS Marketplace. We see our panorama, pay as you go with 3 stars, 90 cents. Pay as you go, the advanced firewall, $1.26. And this one will be bring your own license. We don't want that. Pay as you go, 77 cents. All right, this is an ARM. This is the default panel version. 77 cents versus 90 cents. We'll do this 90 cents one. See how it goes. All right, so let's see what are they recommending for $1.29. It's up there. C5N vendor recommended extra large. I don't think we need that though. So that's 21 cents. Probably be 11 if we do large. We'll stick with that. All right, so we'll subscribe on launch. All right, we'll do this. Do. All right, so 1 security group. So we'll scroll down. It has select. This is where we would select a different instance type. Again, these are things, especially in a production environment. I'm not a big fan of titles, engineer versus architect versus minute, but whoever's responsibility it is, or the teams, to see what size can, especially if you're getting a license for a year or et cetera, you kind of need to right size it, purpose built for the environment that you're in. That team or that person or persons would need to know what to recommend to leadership and what to get approved. Pricing, budgeting is always there. But if you're doing demo, lab, sandbox, things like that, I won't say push it to the limit, but there's something that's CPU intensive. That's what these C's are. There's the M for memory optimized, and of course those T3 micros and things that we all know. If you can get away with those in the lab that are more balanced, then you can use that. We'll stick with the default. For key pair, let's see. Let me pick this one. Let me make sure I got this one actually. All right, let's see. PAFW AZ1. Got that PIM here. Definitely want to make sure you got that. And then our network settings. So this is where we'll need to edit. And this again is going to be the primary NIC built in. So we need to change the VPC to security. The subnet, this again will be Mgmt for management. We'll pick AZ1. And then our security group, we will select from existing. We'll pick the management for AZ1. underneath advanced, we do need to pick our primary IP, which is 10.0.0.10. We'll give it a description, which is pfw-management-az1-sg. And we should be all set there. We could add a second. Things change in AWS all the time, but you can only add a second. So because we need a third, I was like, let's just keep the two separate. For this, we'll change this to GP3, get 3000 IOPS, be good there. Nothing that we need under advanced details, and there's a slew or a litany things that you can, options that you can configure here. So we won't get anyone confused. We'll just hit launch instance. This is where really our timer begins. One thing that I like to do personally, while this is launching, we'll click here to see this instance specifically while it's launching, is if you've ever consoled into a physical appliance, I won't say almost any type, but it could be a server, it could be a firewall, it could be a Cisco switch or router. You know that there's some things just like on a computer, like called post checks, like before the management kind of session is handed over to the user, there's some checks that need to be done. The same occurs here. So if we quickly highlight our instance, if we go to actions, way at the bottom, monitor and troubleshoot. Do I have to click? Yes, I do. And then click on EC2 serial console. I like to keep this tab open, hit connect. Hopefully we got the permissions configured to see this. This will, kind of like that grub stuff, to the screen, it'll display all of kind of what's happening there. I think the first checks are like the FIPS mode kind of things from messing with there we go. The FIPS self-check in a government environment. So 11 this is going to be which I haven't been on the 10.2 train for a while. We need to do stuff while this happens. Like we said, this is going to take a few minutes, but like we do need to attach those other two interfaces. So let's go back here. We will go to EC2. We'll do them in order. Inside was first. So we'll scroll down. We'll select network interfaces. Basically going to highlight the interface. I think associated, and then pick the VM instance. So we'll go inside, actions. Actually, there's an attach. VPC. I think you could have did this from the instance as well. Palo attach. All right. We'll do that. All right. There's another way that I'm more familiar with. You're like, what's this guy doing? I like to show different ways, but my brain is running while we're running. So if we click this instance and we go to our networking tab, we'll see what we got. We do see two IPs there in the index. The primary counting canonically is first, and then one index is 20. So we could also click on actions, instance settings. Let me see. Actually, this is where we attach a network interface. Menu looks kind of the same. Then the outside, hit attach. Now we don't see .40 popping up there. We got to actually click this refresh, and we see it right there. And so if we come to networking, we'll see that again under index 2, it is the outside. The other places, if you still have that instance highlighted, you go to network actions, networking, and manage IP addresses. This is where you kind of start giving secondary IPs, like if you need to do a one-for-one NAT to multiple addresses on a firewall. This or Cisco ASA, this is where you would come. But you can see those IPs listed here. All right, so we're all good there. So really what's left is to get into our device, and we actually need to give this an elastic IP. But let's see. Yeah, so it's not, so it'll say something like successful. It'll look like a login prompt when it's handed over to us. But again, we're still waiting. So let's go to EC2. We'll go to elastic IPs. We could have did a public IP, which is every time the firewall rebooted, that IP would change. The elastic IP, the difference is it stays the same. So we'll allocate one, add a tag, name, PAFWAZ1, management EIP. We'll hit allocate here, actions, associate, and we will tie this to the firewall, and the management is .10, and we can allow it, if we'll ever need to change this one. Interface ID, okay. So we'll pick network interface. This will be, we don't see the management. All right, so we got network interfaces here. We'll refresh. Though I thought we gave it a description and name. All right, so we'll scroll and we see transit gateway, and this one here, we'll edit, make this PAFW management dash AZ1, hit enter, but the ID ends in 9994. So 9994 is this one. Private will be .10. We'll associate it, and this 3, let me bring our notepad up. This is the one that we need to get into with whatever client we use. If you've been around with me for a while, you know that still to this day, MOBA Xterm is my go-to client. So let's see. Now we will. All right, there we go. So it's moving. All right, so we might be able to get in. And let's see. We probably could ping because we permit our IP to anything. But let's bring up MOBA. MOBA ain't no sponsor of this video either. You know, you see YouTubers sometimes say this video is or is not sponsored. Neither is Starbucks. All right, so we see some calls going out there. Okay, Master D started successfully. So we see a VM login. Cool beans. I think we can get in now. What's perfect timing? So we will do session SSH. I don't remember. I gotta remember this command to change the. I know the words. In a while, I don't know the order, but we'll see. See here shortly. All right, the password will be admin. We could leave that blank. Terminal settings or advanced settings. Use a private key. Click here to select. And we said that that was all right. PAFW AZ1 key. We'll hit open. Should pop up here. We'll hit OK. We'll use our key. All right, so maybe Not ready. Mm-hmm. Let's duplicate that. All right, let's think. We got our route table entry for management. This Elastic IP is attached to management. Internet gateway unknown, which is our public IP pointing there. So we're coming in across the internet, hitting the management. Let's actually to see if it's a key thing or us. Let's ping this public IP. Troubleshooting at its finest. Ping -t 3.141.187.173. Because sometimes that management plane isn't ready. Like it looks like in that serial that it is. But let's see. We'll keep this up. I'll pull it over here, but we will actually, we'll go logically through, we'll walk the dog mentally troubleshooting to see all this is there. All right, so let's go back. We'll start route tables. We don't need the outside interface. So this is security management. We'll scroll this up just a wee bit. Routes. So we need all unknown, which is for the response to be able to get back to our public IP, internet gateway. So that's good. And then security groups on the management, we need to be making sure that we are permitting our IP. Security group 1, management. We're allowing all traffic from ourselves, which is cool. And then next, although that is the management, AZ1 security group. Let's make sure, which we know that Nick was, things are still failing. Whatchamacallit, the primary attached. Let's change this name. Let's refresh. There we go. All right, let's make sure the security group. So we did attach management there. So that's all good. We don't need flow logs just yet. So part of me thinks this is a case that the management plane just isn't up. But I think we're all set with security groups, route tables, and at its basic, that's the two things we need to be concerned with. So we'll pull this up, this one. Although that's saying login. We'll see if this starts going through. This one, I'll just wait here and I'll figure out post edit whether we fast forward or just sit here if it comes right up here. But we'll see. That's the last thing. It's the last check too. Make sure we type that right. Down 141. I think we did. All right, let's go network. Let's go instance. There's one thing though that we'll get into in the next video that we need to do to our data plane interfaces, but we won't mess with that now. 3.141.187. So we can get here GUI. So management is fine. Management, we permitted everything. Why aren't pings going through? We got to get in SSH to set our password. All right, so let's try that. Let's try another session R before we. Oh, well, it was just time. I'm wondering why this did not. My pings aren't going through though. Management, all good. So I think it's configure, set management, config, users, admin, password. Yeah. Set this. 16 characters. we will configure, or no, commit. Sorry, what am I doing? Things aren't reliable today. The management doesn't need a route table. Maybe ping service profile and the Palo by default. I don't know what's checked out. We're gonna this video, there'll be a bonus thing at the end. I'll not saying no one ever in a YouTube video ever says, hey, all right, y'all can leave now. But like I said, if you made it this far in the video, we're just chatting, wrapping it up now. There is something that I want to check. Why these pings aren't failing, because we're not going to see it in the data plane. There's some CLI stuff that we'd either have to do, and I don't want to really show that here, but let me think. Where was I going? Let's ping out, ping hosts. We can ping out, but we cannot ping in. Let's reset this. Now we can. So we restarted the ping. So that's 27. So it froze. Because that should have been at least 300. I don't know. I think we're good. So we won't worry about that second one there. Let me control C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this somehow hung. It stopped pinging. Not sure. But it didn't give control back to us. So we were good for a while there. So that I ain't going to cut that out. This is, I'm going to say troubleshooting, but this is how you get in. So again, just to keep it moving, our last thing is just to validate that we can get in with that password that we just set. And which we do see that we're almost in. So this again, we're going to end it here. Woo, 30 plus minutes. And I won't hold you, but we'll get into configuring I won't say remnants or remaining configs that we need for NAT to get that traffic in, to monitor our traffic. But definitely, if you're watching this video, let me know what kind of application you want to see more downstream in the security tools, VPC, or in the other one. Like I said, we've not ever done a video on Panorama on this channel. I ain't gonna lie, the Palo Alto documentation or guides is pretty good with Panorama. I mean, the 2 to 3 times I had to deploy it, following it pretty verbose to the T. There's one time I encountered an issue, but they told you what to be aware or look out for. And that's when you need that 2 terabytes hard drive space. There's a CLI command to see or show if it's recognizable, that SDA drive, and they tell you what to do there as well. So that may be one of the apps that we deploy, but long story short, not sure of what the other one will be. So we're all in our Palo Alto network. Again, we see that there's no these interfaces, the data, the inside and the outside are not enabled. We'll do that next video. We don't have a security zone set. And of course, in our virtual router, it's just nothing here. So the way that we're able to get in, if we come to more runtime stats, is that the boarding table, is this going to load? Why isn't this loading? Again, I know we ain't got no route table, but we should still see the default stuff. But over here on device, I'm making this video super long, so apologies there. But if we come to our interfaces, this is why that ping, well, it is working, but these are the services that on the management interface by default, which is seen here. This is kind of how you don't lock yourself out messing with stuff on those data plane interfaces. They separate the two, the management interface and plane. And that's why you won't see that traffic in the next video once we configure the inside and outside, all the configurations that are needed there. You won't see when we come in across connecting to this management plane, we won't see that session there. But like I said, thank you so much for rocking in here with me today. It's been a long one, and I really do applaud each of you that hung in here with me, especially if you're configuring this right alongside with me. It's a great thing if you do it once or twice and then try to do it without even looking at the video. It becomes second nature, even if it's been a year or a while, months since you've configured one. The steps kind of hang with you. Even that set management users admin whatever command, I don't ever remember. Like, I remember you got to get in configure, and kind of the words they be out of order sometimes, but just repetitions, getting those reps in as an engineer, are really what it comes down to you. And then the different screens, the tools that you have, they just become secondhand. And like I said, like riding a bike, even if you haven't done it in a year or decades, it's second nature. But like I said, let's get on out of here today. I'll catch you on the next one. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and peace.